Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 common misconceptions expats have when moving to the Philippines. These are all things that I personally have thought or believed in the past, but have since learned otherwise. The Philippines is a beautiful country filled with warm and welcoming people, but it is essential that foreigners planning on spending extended periods of time here make themselves aware of details that can save them from having a difficult time while they are here. It's important to exercise patience and approach things in a relaxed manner while in the Philippines. This will make your time here both memorable and enjoyable. Thank you so much for all the people that watched our previous video. We greatly appreciate it. Misconception number 1, the Philippines is a third world country. It is true that certain aspects of daily life seem a lot different from what you're accustomed to in the West. The Philippines is actually considered a first world country in terms of its government structure and its commerce. In fact, it's a middle income country with an economy that boasts one of the fastest growing GDPs in Southeast Asia. Just like any other growing nation, the Philippines has its share of people living in poverty. In fact, you can witness people living in severe poverty in many of the larger cities and in the remote rural areas, also called the province, here locally. But on the other hand, there's a large middle class also, filled with doctors, teachers, peace officers, and government workers. They live and work in a way that is similar to what we're accustomed to in the West, tucked away in gated subdivisions, driving SUVs, and enjoying multiple vacation trips a year. The Philippines is a country that is loaded with natural beauty and has many resort destinations for both foreigners and locals alike to enjoy. Misconception number 2, Filipino men do not like foreigners. I have heard this idea that Filipino men do not like foreigners for many years now. In fact, when I first came to the Philippines and experienced my first taste of a foreign culture as a 19-year-old sailor, I felt this way also. My perspective at the time was based more on fear of the unknown rather than my actual experience. As I live here now and experience the culture as a resident expat, my perspective has changed dramatically. The majority of men here are as friendly, if not more so, than the women. I have met, interviewed, and had conversations with many different men of all ages that brought me to the conclusion that Filipino men actually have no problem with foreign men as long as they are respectful of the Filipino culture and customs. These encounters I had with Filipino men also debunked the idea that they do not like old foreigners stealing their younger women or that they have a problem with age gap relationships. I just find this to be not true in most cases. Misconception number 3. Most Filipinos are scammers looking for a big score. As is the case with many countries suffering from pockets of the population living in poverty, the Philippines has its share of scammers waiting to cash in on lonely Western men looking for love and companionship online. The explosion of communications technology and the internet have given these types of criminals an easy environment to work in. These scammers can come in all shapes and sizes and even be male or female. The truth of the matter is that the Philippines is a country of over 110 million people, and the number of women attempting to extract a Western man's money from his wallet is a tiny fraction of the total female population of the Philippines. It seems so much bigger because vloggers and other social media influencers capitalize on the emotional response these types of stories generate. In other words, it makes for great clickbait. The overwhelming majority of women in the Philippines are honest, loving, and hardworking. They are family-oriented and take much pride in the running of a household. The scammers represent a very small fraction of the population. Misconception number 4. It is extremely dangerous to live in the Philippines. This is another thing that I believed strongly back in the 80s when I visited here for the first time. I was 19 and in the Navy at the time. I can remember riding the bus to Manila from Subic Bay and having 4 armed Philippine soldiers on the bus. This was due to the communist guerrillas being very active during that time and kind of stuck with me throughout my adult years. While there is still a rebel presence in some of the remote parts of Mindanao and other sparsely populated areas here in the Philippines, the Philippine government has done a great job of drastically reducing the danger presented from these groups. There are some areas that I still and would advise people to steer clear of for safety reasons, but I have never felt unsafe at any time in the 3 years I have lived here. It is also a bit more likely that I'll experience an earthquake, volcanic eruption, or typhoon than I would have in my home in the USA. I've already felt the ground shake 2 times already. This was a first for me. The reality is, no matter where you live, you'll face unique threats or dangers that could affect your life in a dramatic way. It is no different here in the Philippines. We all have to make those choices for ourselves and just be happy and prepared to face the consequences of our decisions. Misconception number 5. Everything is cheaper in the Philippines. This is another concept that I held on to for years leading up to moving here permanently back in 2021. It is true that you can experience an overall cost of living that is drastically less than your home country in the West. The cost of housing, locally produced foods, and utilities are costs that I personally have saved hundreds of dollars monthly as opposed to central Missouri. But the idea that everything is cheaper is nonsense. One example is technology. Computers, cameras, cell phones can be extremely expensive in the Philippines if you're buying authentic name brands because of the import costs involved. These types of items are not produced in the Philippines, so almost all of these that you find in the Philippines are imported. Another example is Western style foods and food brands. You can find your favorite items in many of the larger supermarkets, such as SM Malls, Robinson Malls, Pure Gold Grocery. These items will cost you more than you pay in your home country. I was looking at a normal size of Lay's potato chips the other day, the size we would buy for one person when I was a kid for about 59 cents. It was 209 pesos, or almost $4. This is about the norm for all of the Western or other Western style products that you find. So yes, there are many things that are way cheaper in the Philippines, but many others just are not. So anyway, there you have it. Those are just 5 of the many misconceptions expats have about living in the Philippines. I know that many of you might be contemplating a move like this one for your retirement years and feel hesitant about making that final decision. I know I was the same way. I was afraid that I might regret my decision and that it could possibly be a big mistake. I am so glad that I was able to overcome that fear and make that decision to move to the Philippines. It has been a wonderful experience for me, and given the chance, I would make the same decision all over again. It's far from perfect, but it is so much less stressful for me personally. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, and we'll see you at the next video. We really thank you so much for your support. Here in the near future, we have several videos planned. We got a lot of comments on the video that we made just a couple of days ago with the house for rent here in the Plantation Meridian subdivision. We had dozens of comments asking about the subdivision itself, the swimming pool, the streets, the amenities like garbage collection, how that works and things like that. So we're actually going to make a video here in a day or two and go around and give you a bird's eye view of the Plantation Meridian subdivision that we live in, and show you what life is like in a gated community here in the Philippines. We'll get some footage on the drone. We'll show the swimming pool. We'll show the basketball court, the clubhouse, the streets where Jen and I walk each morning. It's very safe. And there's just kilometers of streets that you can walk on. It's really good for the person that wants to get out and try to improve their fitness level. But anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of this video. You'll never ever know just how much we appreciate each and every person that clicks on and views one of our videos, guys. Thank you so very much, and we'll see you next time.